Can you imagine marrying someone who ended up wanting you dead? The same hands that once wiped your tears, now stirring poison into your cup. This is the story of John, a man who gave everything for love, only to discover that his wife was slowly killing him. John Miller was the kind of man everyone envied. At 42, he had everything a person could dream of: wealth, power, respect, and a heart big enough to share all he had with others. His mansion sat high on a private hill outside the city, its marble walls shining under the evening sun. He owned multiple companies, drove luxury cars, and traveled in private jets. But beneath all that, John was a simple man, gentle, calm, and full of love. He had worked for years to build his empire from the ground up. Money didn't change him. It only gave him more reason to help people. But for all his success, there was one thing he longed for: a companion, someone who would love him for who he was, not for what he had. That's when he met Sarah. Sarah was 28, beautiful, charming, and full of life. She worked as a receptionist in a small hotel downtown. The first time John saw her, she was helping an elderly guest who couldn't find his wallet. Her voice was calm, her smile genuine. There was something about her that pulled John in. He started visiting that hotel more often, sometimes pretending he had meetings nearby just to see her. Slowly, their conversations grew longer and their connection deepened. Sarah told him about her difficult life, how she grew up poor, how her mother died early, and how she had been struggling to survive ever since. John listened with sympathy, his heart softening each time she spoke. Within months, John asked her to marry him, and to everyone's surprise, she said yes. The wedding was grand, the kind of event that made headlines. Journalists called it a fairy tale union, the billionaire and the common girl. John didn't care what people said. He loved Sarah, and he wanted to give her the world. He moved her into his mansion, bought her luxury clothes, jewelry, and even a brand new car. He made her the center of his universe. For a while, Sarah seemed happy. She smiled often, laughed at his jokes, and played the part of a loving wife. But deep down, she was hiding something. That something, or rather, someone, was Mike. Mike was Sarah's ex-boyfriend, a man she had dated before meeting John. Unlike John, Mike had no ambition. He was handsome but lazy, charming but dangerous. Sarah had loved him once, but she left him when she realized he had nothing to offer her but trouble. Yet, even after marrying John, she never truly let Mike go. At first, it was just texts, harmless messages, she told herself. Then came phone calls. Then secret meetings in quiet restaurants. Before long, the fire between them reignited. Mike saw Sarah's new life as an opportunity. "You're living with a gold mine, babe," he once told her during one of their secret rendezvous. "If you play smart, we could both be rich forever." Sarah laughed nervously. "John is good to me, Mike. He trusts me completely." "That's exactly why it'll work," Mike said, leaning in closer. "You just need to keep him blind while we take what we need." And so, Sarah began her betrayal. At first, it was small. She would take expensive watches, gold cufflinks, and transfer little amounts of money from John's accounts to Mike's under fake business names. John never noticed. He trusted her completely. He thought she was the best thing that ever happened to him. But as greed grew, Mike became bolder. He started pressuring her. "When are we getting everything? You can't just keep giving me crumbs, Sarah. You're married to a man worth millions." Sarah frowned. "Be patient. He's not stupid." Mike smirked. "Then we'll have to make him disappear." Those words sent chills down her spine. "Disappear? You love me, right?" he said, brushing her hair back. "Once he's gone, you get everything. Then we share. You and me, 80-20. Sarah hesitated, fear flashing across her face. But greed won the battle inside her heart. Slowly, she nodded. "Okay, but it has to look natural." Mike grinned. "Leave that to me." That was how it began, the plan to kill the man who loved her most. A week later, Sarah walked into a high-end pharmacy and bought a small bottle of colorless liquid. The pharmacist didn't suspect anything. It was a rare toxin disguised as herbal drops for digestion. Mike had done his research. A few drops daily wouldn't kill instantly. They would slowly weaken the body, make it look like natural sickness. And so, she started. Every morning, she prepared John's breakfast with love, or what looked like love, and added 2 drops of poison to his tea. "Drink up, darling," she would say with a soft smile. John would smile back, trusting her completely. "You always take such good care of me, Sarah." Each time he said that, a part of her chest tightened. But she ignored the guilt. She told herself it would all be over soon, and she would be free, rich, and happy with Mike. Days turned into weeks. John began to feel weak. He lost his appetite and often complained of stomach pains. "Maybe it's stress," he said, brushing it off. Sarah played her role well, acting concerned, calling the doctor, staying by his side like a loving wife. The doctors ran several tests, but everything seemed normal at first. Then one morning, John fainted in his study. Sarah screamed, pretending to panic, and called an ambulance. At the hospital, more tests were done. When the results came in, the doctor looked puzzled. "Mr. Miller, we found traces of toxins in your system. Something's poisoning you." John froze. "Poisoning me? How?" Sarah gasped, covering her mouth in fake shock. "Oh my God, who would do such a thing?" "I don't know," the doctor said. "It could be something you've eaten regularly. Maybe from your food or drinks." That was all Sarah needed to twist the story. On the ride home, she turned to John, her voice trembling. "You don't think Mark could be behind this, do you?" Mark was their longtime family chef, loyal, quiet, and deeply trusted by John. John looked surprised. "Mark? No, he's been with me for 7 years. He's like family." "Still," Sarah said softly, "he's the one handling all your meals. And remember last week, he seemed upset when you scolded him about the dinner being late." John frowned. That was nothing. But the seed of doubt had been planted. That evening, John called Mark to his office. "Mark," he said, "I need to ask you something serious." The man looked confused. "Yes, sir." Doctors say I've been poisoned." Mark's eyes widened. "Poisoned? Sir, that's impossible. I would never." "I know," John interrupted gently, "but Sarah thinks it might be something in the food." Mark's voice cracked. "Sir, I swear on my life, I've done nothing wrong. I love this family. I would never harm you." Sarah stood at the door, tears running down her cheeks, acting like a heartbroken wife caught in fear. "John, please, if he's innocent, then who could it be?" John sighed deeply. His heart trusted Mark, but his mind was clouded by confusion. "I can't take chances, Mark. I'm sorry." Mark fell to his knees, begging. "Please, sir, you're making a mistake." But John's decision was firm. He let him go that night. Sarah watched from the balcony as Mark packed his things and left the mansion in tears. Inside, she smiled secretly. The first part of the plan was done. The only man who could notice her secret poison was now gone. But she didn't know. John's instincts were beginning to whisper something he couldn't ignore. Late at night, when Sarah was asleep beside him, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His mind replayed everything. The timing of his illness, Sarah's constant insistence that Mark was guilty, and how quickly she pushed for him to be fired. Something didn't feel right. And when he finally picked up her phone one night while she slept, what he saw made his blood run cold. Her messages with Mike. Hundreds of them. Sweet words, pictures, voice notes, and worse, conversations about his death. "Once he's gone, we'll have everything," Mike's message read. "Be patient, baby," Sarah had replied. "The poison is working. Just a few more weeks." John sat there frozen, staring at the glowing screen. His heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The woman he loved more than anything was killing him. Sat still in the dark room, his heart pounding so hard it felt like thunder in his chest. The light from Sarah's phone glowed faintly on his trembling hands. He scrolled through the messages again and again, hoping that somehow it was all a misunderstanding. But it wasn't. The evidence was right there. Every cruel word, every heartless plan. His wife, the woman he had rescued from poverty, the woman he adored beyond reason, had been feeding him poison while whispering, "I love you," each night. A wave of rage, pain, and disbelief washed over him. For years, he had protected her, trusted her, and defended her against gossip that she had married him for money. And all the while, she had been slowly trying to kill him. His breathing grew heavy. He looked over at Sarah, sleeping peacefully beside him, her face calm and innocent. To anyone else, she looked like an angel. But now, all he could see was a cold, cunning woman with a heart full of lies. John got out of bed quietly and walked to the window. The city lights shimmered below, the night air cool against his skin. He clenched his fists, whispering under his breath, "You think I'm going to die, Sarah? No. You'll see. You'll both see." That night, he didn't sleep. He stayed awake until dawn, replaying every memory, every word, every fake smile she had given him. By morning, his decision was made. He wasn't going to confront her. He wasn't going to warn her. He was going to destroy her, slowly, carefully, and completely. Over the next few days, John played his part perfectly. He pretended to be the same loving husband, even more affectionate than before. He brought Sarah flowers, took her out for dinner, and praised her cooking. "John, are you feeling better?" she asked one morning, serving him breakfast. He smiled weakly. "A little. I think it's just stress. Maybe I've been overworking." Sarah looked relieved, or so she acted. "You should rest more, darling. Don't push yourself." "I'll try," he said softly, sipping his tea. The same tea she had poisoned. But this time, he didn't drink it all. As soon as she left the room, he poured the rest into a hidden test tube he kept in his pocket. Later that day, he gave it to a private investigator he had quietly hired. The investigator's job was simple: find out exactly what was in that cup. 3 days later, John got a call. "It's confirmed, sir," the investigator said. "There's a deadly toxin in your drink. Small doses, but enough to kill over time. Whoever's giving you this wants you dead slowly." John's jaw tightened. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Now, let's give them what they want." That evening, John met privately with his lawyer and a trusted police detective. They listened in silence as he explained everything: the poison, the texts, the betrayal, and his plan. "I want them to think they succeeded," John said coldly. "I'll fake my death, and when they finally show their true colors, I'll come back." The detective leaned forward. "You're sure about this? It's dangerous." John nodded. "I've been poisoned for months by the woman I loved. There's nothing left to fear." His lawyer, Mr. Daniels, sighed. "If we're doing this, we have to make it look real. The hospital records, death certificate, funeral, everything." John looked him straight in the eye. "Then make it real." 2 weeks later, John's health seemed to worsen, deliberately so. He stopped taking his medication, allowed Sarah to continue her poisoning, and pretended to be weaker each day. Sarah, seeing his decline, grew bolder. She started spending more time on the phone with Mike, convinced her plan was working.